tell you from a personal experience, except in the airport, I have done a couple times, but the border control, I believe they're doing spot checks. If you're coming through train or through car, they just do spot checks to see if you have, but there's no quarantine requirements now, and it's essentially free and open borders again.
Yeah.
And this is a wonderful thing. I'm starting to see here cars from Germany and Italy, and I guess we were all put on mute.
From 47 countries. So this is a global show. So all the best to everyone. Enjoy yourselves. Can you see it? Miguel, if you wish.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge Grand Finale, coming to you live from the Raffles City Convention Center here in Singapore. The CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge, the first global platform that's been set up by a Singapore real estate company to advance innovation and collaboration in sustainability within the built environment. My name is Joe Augustin, and it's my pleasure to be your host for this afternoon. And in line with the theme as well, I am also a 100% recycled, forcibly retired male model. The question that we are answering today is how do we make buildings more climate resilient and resource efficient? Now, to answer that question, we received more than 270 entries from some 25 countries. 6 outstanding finalists from Singapore, China, and the US have been selected to compete in today's finale. And from there, 2 winners will be getting to pilot and also to potentially scale their solutions at CapitaLand's properties located in some 250 cities in 38 countries. They'll also receive each $50,000 in project funding. We're pleased to welcome an international audience joining us here today, and together we're all going to be witnessing who will be crowned the winners of the Most Innovative Award as well as the High Impact Award. Now, before we hear from our 6 finalists, it's my pleasure now to invite Group CEO of CapitaLand, Mr. Lee Chee Koon, to give us his welcome remarks. Mr. Lee, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the grand finale of our inaugural Sustainability X Challenge. And warmest appreciation to Ms. Grace Fu, Minister for Sustainability and the Environment, for being our guest of honor. We all know that the world today that we live in is not as well as before. We see and feel it happening everywhere around the world. We see record-breaking heat waves, more and more aggressive natural disasters. We see food security challenges, millions of species that are near the brink of extinction. And of course, not forgetting the current COVID-19 pandemic that we are dealing with. And all of us are gathered here today because you and I believe firmly that we do not surrender our future. We believe in the sustainability agenda, and we believe that whatever we do today will have a profound and long-standing impact in the world that we live in. CapitaLand has placed sustainability at the core of what we do for many years. In fact, we started this journey more than 20 years ago because we believe that to be a responsible company, we want to make sure that whatever we do, we think about the positive impact on the environment and the community that we operate in. And last year, we launched a 2030 Sustainability Master Plan. We set very ambitious targets because we wanted to make sure that we play a part in contributing to the green agenda. Well, some people ask, whether we can achieve these ambitious targets. The thing is that if we want to achieve big ambition, big challenge like the sustainability issues that we are dealing with, we require bold actions. And I think CapitaLand cannot be an exception to this challenge that we are trying to overcome. So what we are, the thing is, even though we have set very ambitious targets, based on the technology that's available today, we are actually not able to achieve what we want to do. So we have to take a step back and look at new ideas, invest in new technology, work with partners, and we are doing it in the following 3 ways. First and foremost, we are setting up a smart co-innovation lab where we are bringing together leading industry partners to co-create, to test-bake solutions in our properties in Singapore, and that's showing some good traction. The second thing that we are doing is setting aside a 50 million CapitaLand Innovation Fund, really to encourage colleagues in the company to test-bake new ideas, to look for new technologies, to help us to push the envelope in terms of finding sustainability solutions for our portfolio. And the third thing that we are doing is this inaugural Sustainability X Challenge that we are pursuing It is a global initiative where we are trying to source ideas, innovations from around the world. If you have good idea, you have good solution, please come forward. We want to work with you. We want to partner with you. So happy to share that even though this is the first time we are organizing this event, we have received very positive responses, more than 270 submissions from more than 25 countries. And I believe that with this strong reception, we want to continue this effort in organizing this event in subsequent years. And with this, I would like to take the chance to thank our partners for working with us so closely in terms of your contribution, in terms of your resources, ideas, to thank all the participants in terms of submitting your ideas, in terms of all the ideas that you have in pushing for the green agenda, and to all the CapitaLand colleagues for all the hard work, for the year-long hard work in working through a COVID-19 period, reaching out to all the participants in coming up with new solutions for us. And finally, to the finalists, congratulations. We look forward to listening to your ideas, your presentation, and hope to see your implementations in our properties, and we can see a positive impact to the world. And before I conclude, allow me to just reiterate this message. The planet Earth is our life support system. It is the world that we all live in. As the world gradually recovers in the wake of COVID-19, I think we all have a choice. We can choose to go back to business as usual, or we can choose to live a more sustainable life, whether it's at the individual level, at the family level, or at the company level. I firmly believe that we need to make the right decision so that when we look into the eyes of our children and into the eyes of their children, we can put our hands on our heart that we have done everything in the best efforts to make sure that we leave behind a safe and secure environment for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Now, the Singapore Green Plan 2030 was unveiled earlier this year with a continued commitment to deepening and speeding up of Singapore's efforts to mitigate and adapt to climate change. We are very honored to have with us Singapore's Minister for Sustainability and the Environment, Ms. Grace Fu, as our guest of honor today as she joins us virtually. So, Ms. Fu, one of the silver linings, I think, for me, for the COVID-19 thing is having to travel a little bit less. We're doing more telecommuting. And I'm wondering for you, how has that affected your life? I'm not sure if you might be on mute there. Are you on mute? It's by the way, it's a phrase of 2020 and 2021. You're on mute.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with you. I think COVID-19 has disrupted our lives, make us a lot more homebound, but at the same time, give us a lot more time and reasons to reflect and appreciate our family and the things around us. So I think it's silver lining. Personally, I've discovered a lot more about Singapore that I've never known. And also, little nooks and corners, little neighborhood parks, and even have some time to appreciate, the neighborhood hawker stores amongst us. So yeah, I think it has been disruptive, but with everybody's cooperation, I think we are coming out of a heightened alert phase. Looking forward to Monday. And really like to take this opportunity to thank all Singaporeans for being so cooperative with us during this time.
Well, I've certainly spent too much time in the hawker centers myself. I'd like to invite you now to deliver your opening address. Ms. Fu, please.
Thank you very much, Joe. Mr. Miguel Koh, Chairman, CapitaLand. Mr. Lee Chee Koon, Group CEO, CapitaLand. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to join you today. Like the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change poses an existential threat to our lives and livelihoods. The signs are clear. The global average temperature in 2020 was reported to be 1.2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. 2019 also tied with 2016 as the hottest year on record. With warmer temperatures globally, we are facing water stresses, food imbalances, and new diseases. We are far from achieving the goals set out in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. We must mitigate and adapt to climate change, and we must act now. In February this year, we launched the Singapore Green Plan 2030, which charts a common vision and roadmap for ensuring a more sustainable future. The Green Plan is a decade-long plan with ambitious sectoral targets that will help us achieve net zero emissions as soon as possible. And let me briefly share the 5 pillars of the Green Plan. First, city and nature. Under this pillar, we aim to create a green, livable, and sustainable home and build up carbon sinks by extending nature throughout our island. By 2030, we will plant 1 million more trees across Singapore, and every household will be within a 10-minute walk from a park. Second, sustainable living. We want every Singaporean to embrace sustainability as a way of life and contribute towards lowering our carbon emissions. Each of us can consume less, recycle more, and take public transportation more. We will inculcate good habits in our young through a new eco-stewardship program in schools. Third, energy reset. We are greening our energy supply, infrastructure and buildings, towns and districts, and modes of transportation. We aim to increase solar energy deployment by 5 times, tap green energy sources from the ASEAN region and beyond, and look into emerging low-carbon solutions such as carbon capture, utilization, and storage technologies, and hydrogen. Fourth, green economy. We will seek new investments that are among the best in class in terms of carbon and energy efficiency. Sustainability will be our new engine of jobs and growth, for example, in carbon trading and services and green finance. We will also help our companies embrace sustainability and develop new capabilities in this area. Fifth, resilient future. We will protect Singapore against the effects of climate change and build our national resilience for the future. This includes long-term coastal adaptation plans to protect Singapore against sea level rise, keep Singapore cool, and strengthening Singapore's food security in a resource-efficient way. Singapore's land, water, and energy constraints pose significant challenges to how we can achieve our sustainability goals. We have overcome some of our challenges through consistent investment in research and development and innovative solutions. In 1991, our first national technology plan had a budget of $2 billion. In the latest Research, Innovation and Enterprise 2025 plan, this has increased to $25 billion. These investments not only allow us to develop new capabilities to stay ahead of the economic curve, but help us overcome the constraints of our small size and limited resources. The domain of urban solutions and sustainability was first included into our R&D plan in 2006, with an aim to turn our water and energy constraints into economic opportunities as a global hydro hub and clean energy hub. We have reaped significant returns from areas such as membrane bioreactor technology that enhances the water filtration process and saved approximately $800 million as of 2015. New tools such as the Integrated Environmental Modeler, a 3D simulation model of our estates, were introduced to improve livability by forecasting environmental factors such as urban heat and wind direction. Our built environment is a focus area of our R&D plan. Our building stock accounts for 20% of our total CO2 emissions, making it one of the largest sources. Government agencies have been engaging stakeholders to adopt alternative construction materials and encouraging building tenants to take steps to save energy. And let me share a few examples. The National Environment Agency, NEA, together with the Waste to Energy Research Facility at the Nanyang Technological University, successfully developed new sand, a construction material made from end products of waste incineration. New sand is an alternative to conventional construction materials such as concrete, which can contribute up to 30% of the building carbon footprint. It also saves us the need to landfill the incineration waste. This new material has been used to construct footpaths and plaza space, and we're exploring production at a commercial scale. On energy consumption of a building, owners can nudge occupants to adopt best practices by installing smart energy and water efficient fittings, as demonstrated in the Punggol North Shore development. More than 1,400 smart-enabled flats are equipped with smart power sockets and technology-enabled distribution boards. These fixtures allow residents to monitor their energy consumption and provide them the optionality to adopt smart home solutions and applications that are available in the market. The estate also features a smart irrigation system, which uses moisture sensors and data in rainfall and sunlight to optimize watering frequency. Building owners can also adopt alternative, cleaner energy sources. JTC has launched the Solar Land and Solar Roof programs, which allow photovoltaic panels to be installed on temporary vacant land and industrial roof spaces. Several developers, including CapitaLand, have come on board to allow for installation of solar panels on their roofs. These efforts have enabled us to meet our target of deploying 350 megawatt peak of solar energy in 2020. Under the Green Plan, we will continue to press on with our efforts. Our investments in R&D will help us better understand the impact of climate change, develop new solutions to reduce greenhouse gases, and increase the use of renewable energy and low-carbon technologies. Singapore can also be a test bed for innovative technologies with cross-border collaboration. For example, the Renewable Energy Integration Demonstrator, Singapore, is a large-scale offshore microgrid dedicated to designing, demonstrating, and testing solutions for sustainable energy access for all in Southeast Asia. The Ministry of National Development has also launched the Built Environment Technology Alliance, which serves as a one-stop portal for companies to tap on the Built Environment Living Lab framework. Through this framework, firms will be given access to living laboratories, where they can trial new and innovative technologies for translation into commercialization. Research and innovation leading to commercialization is a space where public and private sectors must collaborate. Research can be long dated and involves high risk. Governments must support and fund it. Innovation and commercialization of products of research require entrepreneurial acumen and nimble responses. And this is where many enterprises have strengths. Initiatives such as the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge help to uncover unique solutions that may offer the right competitive edge. It also gives innovators an opportunity to test bed and refine their ideas, which can eventually be scaled up to benefit businesses, consumers, and our environment. Let me conclude. Climate change is a complex issue that requires collective action and multiple strategies. Technology and innovation can be leveraged to translate constraints into growth opportunities. Today's Innovation Challenge is a good launchpad for promising innovations to be uncovered, refined, and scaled up for the benefit of our environment. To all the finalists here today, I wish you all the very best, and I hope that your product, your innovation, will come to the market sooner than later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. It's time to meet the judges of today's finale. Ladies and gentlemen, the judges for the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge Grand Finale. First of all, we have Mr. Lee Chee Koon, Group CEO of CapitaLand. Next, Ms. Goh Swee Chen, Independent Director of CapitaLand and Chairman of CapitaLand Sustainability Council. We also have Mr. Rohit Sipa Himalani, who is the Chief Strategist, Chief Investment Strategist and Head of Southeast Asia Temasek. Our next judge is Dr. Chong Koon Hien, Chair of Singapore Center for Livable Cities and incoming Chair of the Lee Kuan Yew Center for Innovative Cities at Singapore University of Technology and Design. And joining us from Washington, D.C., Mr. Rushad Nanavati, who is the Managing Director, Urban Transformation Program, Rocky Mountain Institute. And from Zurich, Switzerland, Dr. Chris Lukaban, Head of Strategic Foresight at ETH Zurich. Now, for those of you who've just joined us, a reminder that our finalists today are the top 6 entries judged from more than 270 international submissions. And the big question that they're all trying to answer is, how do we make buildings more climate resilient and resource efficient? The 2 ultimate winners get to pilot the solutions and potentially scale at CapitaLand properties in some 250 cities in 38 countries where CapitaLand properties are located. Plus, they will also secure $50,000 each in project funding. Now, all our finalists are going to be scored on 3 criteria. They're going to be impact, innovation, and potential to scale. Impact, in terms of potential outcomes to help CapitaLand meet its sustainability master plan targets. Innovation, in terms of its potential to really change the game. And lastly, the potential to scale, in terms of possible effective deployment across the geographies that CapitaLand operates in and its different asset types. Now, the format today will be that each finalist will receive 7 minutes to pitch their idea, and then that will be followed by 7 minutes after for questions and answers with the judges. And the time for the 7 minutes will start with the question as it's posed by that judge. So we're on to our first finalist, ladies and gentlemen. Our first finalist is GEN Private Limited from Singapore, and they have a solution for CapitaLand's challenge statement: how might we achieve on-site clean energy solutions for existing buildings?
Good day, distinguished judges, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tan Lien Chow. I am the CEO of GN Private Limited. How many of us know this? Out of the total energy of an office building consumed, what is the percentage used just for cooling? 10, 20, 30? No, it's actually more than 40%. Now, if we can bring this down to below 5%, think of the amount of energy saved. This is why I'm here to share this solution with you. To generate clean energy and reduce the energy used for cooling in every building, mitigating climate change and saving costs. Our vision is blue-green world, where the sky is blue and the water is clean, surrounded by nature that is growing and flourishing well. We set out our mission to develop CoolGen to achieve this vision. At least 8 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. In the densely built city like Singapore, existing builds have limited space for the existing renewable energy systems, limited reliable clean energy source, and at least 10 long years of payback. Our novel product, CoolGen, is a compact clean power generator and also a chiller that utilizes a relatively low temperature heat source and a short 4 years payback. This can be shorter for places with a very high electricity tariff. What is CoolGen? It is a patent innovation of a standalone hydraulic-driven electric power generator and chilling system, powered by abundant low-grade heat that is available anywhere and anytime. This is a short story on the birth of CoolGen. It started off from transforming a toy to a practical machine with the discovery of cold liquid CO2 power potential. Without any existing model, we went through many iterations, persistently working on harnessing that power until we achieved the current design, which will be assembled completely once we receive the new housing part by August 2021. This discovery, ladies and gentlemen, is very significant. Not many people realize this can supply abundantly affordable, reliable, and clean energy that can change the world. The unique technology uses very cold liquid CO2 produced in situ and powered by the heat bring in by the water. The water exhausts out as chilled water. There is a series of energy exchanges that happen with cogen. I will not go into the technical details at this point, but I want to draw your attention to step 4, where our cool byproduct can be applied to chiller plants or used to cool a space directly. We can integrate with the cooling tower by extracting the waste heat from the condenser to power cogen. This will help reduce the original body of water in the condenser by 1 degree Celsius, improving its efficiency and performance by 20%. We would like to show CapitaLand how much clean energy and energy saving can be achieved with just 1 unit of cogen of 50 kilowatt capacity for a 56,000 square meter GFA industrial building with 3,850 megawatt hour annual consumption. Firstly, there will be a reduction in the use of fossil fuels by 9.5% as cogen will provide an on-site alternative supply of energy that is green. Secondly, there will be a 2.8% saving in overall energy consumption due to improved efficiency in operating cooling towers. And thirdly, with the combined effect of the 2 points, we will be able to reduce 12.3% of carbon emission, that is about minus 200 tons of CO2. This will be equivalent to CapitaLand planting 26 mature trees to provide that same level of reduction in carbon footprint. With the compact and modular build of cogen, we can further achieve a 100% green building by adding 9 more cogen units, achieving the effect of making the building carbon neutral by planting 260 trees. One more proposition to CapitaLand: earn more revenue by retailing clean energy to tenants with more cogen. While cogen is just beginning our journey to create our vision of a blue-green world, we are excited about what is ahead as we ride along with some of the key global trends. We can contribute directly to the generation of clean electricity as the world moves to more sustainable sources. Today, the world is still consuming annually 70 million gigawatt hour of energy from fossil fuel, with only 27% of our global energy production coming from renewable sources. To put this number into context, 500,000 units of cogen will be required just to reduce the use of fossil fuel by 1%. Cogen can be used in many applications. Improving cooling tower efficiency was one that we have shared, but we can also apply our innovation toward the creation on-board chargers for electric vehicles, allowing us to capitalize on growing demands of EVs. Our team, myself, the team leader, I'm also the inventor of cogen. I really appreciate my other members for sharing the same vision and contributing significantly to developing cogen. The breakthrough solution is here for a sustainable blue-green world. Hence, we are happy to invite CapitaLand and investors to join this mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. And your 7 minutes starts now with your first question from Mr. Lee Chee Koon.
Hi, Mr. Tan. Thank you for the presentation and your idea. Actually, very, very exciting. I can imagine a lot of potential. Maybe I start off with the first question, just to get the Q&A going. Aside from recovering heat from the cooling tower water, what other heat recovering opportunities can you foresee from your solution that you have that your team has developed? And related to this is how fast do you think you can commercialize this particular solution so that the building owners will adopt, and then we can scale up the solution a lot faster?
Thank you for the question. Beside the cooling tower, we can actually recover heat from any industrial process. For example, in the building, when you want to process your waste disposal, normally the best way is to use heat to decompose the waste, and that heat, extra heat generated from the disposing the waste heat can be recovered back for energy generation again. That is one way, and of course in other industrial like laundry, where you use hot water, instead of flushing the hot water down the drain, you can recover back the heat before you flush it down the drain. This is just a few examples. But the best part is that we can get a heat from our ambient temperature here, because we are in a tropical country. Anything above 25 degrees that will be suitable for power the cool gens. And as commercialization, we are quite ready. I would say by August, we will be probably able to put onto the market the first unit. Is that all?
Our next question is from Mr. Rushad Nanavati. We've got 5 minutes.
Thank you. Congratulations. It's a remarkable solution. It really seems like something out of science fiction almost. And I know you said that you wouldn't get into the physics and the mechanics, but it would be helpful to understand them a little bit better. Specifically, what's the sort of physical cycle at play here? It almost seems like a perpetual motion machine. And I had a more specific question with respect to what you described as step 1. How do you achieve or create the pressures required to come up with that liquid CO2 in the first place?
Well, thanks for the question. This is not really a perpetual. It looks like, but it's not. The first thing is that we had to pressurize the CO2 to a high temperature or high pressure of 70 bar, and that normally will be at room temperature. If we leave it, standing for a long time, it will be at room temperature. Then when we discharge it at that pressure to say 10 bar, it will become liquid or even solid ice. If you know how they make the solid ice, that's how they do it. And by this case, we control it in such a way that it will get liquid instead of ice, instead of solid ice. So this is how the trick we use to generate the cold liquid source and allow it to go through heat exchange, where the heat is transferred to the cold liquid CO2 and get it heated up by a few degrees will do, and that will give the kind of power required to power any generators or any load that you want to drive. And the best part is that at the same time, this heat will also raise the pressure back to the original high pressure, and therefore the cycles rotate. All right. Is that all?
So it looks like we only have time for one more question, but 2.5 minutes to go. And Dr. Cheong Koon Hien is up next.
Congratulate the team. It's a wonderful idea if it works. So my question really is, you mentioned the use of even using this for even EV cars. So I'm just wondering, in terms of efficiency, the recovery of this energy from ambient temperature, how efficient is it in terms of the size of this cogen device that you will have to put in, especially if you're talking about cars? Okay, it's hard to say about the efficiency because first thing, the atmosphere is actually the heat source rather than the heat sink in most of the energy generation. So if we were to design, like the case I have set for 50 kilowatt capacity, that will actually able to fit it into a bus or a truck. So for a small size, we can then fit it into passenger cars or smaller vehicles. Efficiency, as I say, it depends on the heat source. The hotter it is, of course, it's more efficient. So, does that answer your question?
Well, we've got that 1 minute left, so I'll give you 30 seconds to say any last words you'd like to say, Mr. Tan.
Basically, this system is pretty, I would say, out of the blue that I came across. But I think a lot of people take it
that the atmosphere is the heat sink, therefore there's no way we can harness the energy from there. But we found out that if we can generate a very close source of working fuel like the coal, liquid CO2, we can actually reverse the atmosphere heat sink into a heat source. And that's how we find that will actually solve the problem of our climate change.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Tan, and thank you very much for
Thank
GN
you.
Private Limited for sharing with us about your portable self-powered energy generator and chiller, which can generate clean energy and cool air affordably for buildings using ambient heat or waste heat. Our second finalist is Climatech Corp Private Limited, also from Singapore, and they have a solution for CapitaLand's challenge statement: how might we achieve significant reduction in energy consumption for existing buildings? Mr. Joe Heng, who is the Managing Director of Climatech, will tell us more about their solution.
Good afternoon. I am Joe Heng, founder of Climatech Corp Singapore, and today we will be presenting the Climate Control Quantum Resonance Water, or QRW in short, the next revolution in cooling tower water treatment technology. A little bit of background of water treatment for cooling towers. Cooling towers are designed to conserve water and dissipate heat from the building's aircon and mechanical ventilation systems. As water evaporates during this heat exchange, the concentration of the minerals in the water increase, thus leading to a need for water treatment. Poor water treatment leads to increased costs for buildings. Scaling, corrosion, and biological fouling results when mineral and bacterial concentration in water increase. And this could be actually what you see when you go on site. When fouling occurs, it leads to degradation of equipment, loss of efficiency, and more energy consumed. And this leads to increased operating expenditure for buildings. This table shows the thickness of scale relative to the reduction in cooling capacity and the resultant increase in power consumption. These numbers are not insignificant. And in the worst case scenario, it leads to equipment failure, disruption of operations, imagine no aircon in the building, and eventually costly equipment replacement. These are all unplanned capex. And here we look at the state of current market offerings for water treatment. Current market offerings face certain limitations and challenges. Traditional chemical dosing work to a certain extent, but struggle to meet the ever-increasing requirements of building sustainability and water conservancy. These are actual toxic and hazardous chemicals on site. On the other hand, electrolysis-based water treatment offerings have checkered history in meeting the code of practice for the control of Legionella bacteria in cooling towers. Imagine the potential of biohazards and health hazards on site. And so, users face a conundrum for the lack of a clear and viable solution. Can more be done? Yes, we believe that the QRW provides the answers and more. And here we introduce the Climate Control QRW. The QRW comprises a combination of strong magnets and ceramic-based composites. It utilizes micromolecular water properties and photon vibration frequency principle in its approach to the treatment of water. Essentially, in layman's terms, it is a water molecule slicer and an agitator. Here we show the workings of the QRW. Makeup feed water enters the QRW module, and these normal water particles comprise several H2O molecules held together by strong covalent bonds. Strong magnets within the QRW break up the covalent bonds to form small water particles. We term them micromolecular water. And micromolecular water carry inherent properties that inhibit organic and inorganic fouling, the fundamental preventive function that is required for cooling tower water treatment. These micromolecular water particles are then caused to collide in the QRW, creating low-frequency ultrasonic water with resonance energy. And we term them QRW water. QRW water removes archaic fouling, a unique rehabilitative function of the QRW. We liken this to the context of detoxing the human body of cholesterol. Improved equipment efficiency leads to improved body health. And so the value proposition of the QRW is simple and straightforward. It's chemical-free, requires no power to operate, and it provides constant and consistent treatment with no mechanical and electrical failure risk. And in general, green mark buildings require 7 cycles of concentration, COC, or better. Current market offerings, 4 to 15 at best, COC. All QRW sites are currently running 20 to more than 30 COC. And so the benefits of QRW are significant and unique. It saves water, saves energy, and it reduces maintenance. In addition, QRW water is recyclable and can be used to reduce or displace other building water usage, such as plant irrigation or toilet flushing. This results in further water savings. And so, QRW raises the bar to unprecedented standards for cooling tower water treatment. And QRW meets not just one, but 3 of the CSXC's focus criteria: water conservation and resilience through water savings, low carbon transition through energy savings, and waste management and circular economy, as QRW water is recyclable. In addition, it reduces maintenance and labor costs, critical in this current COVID-19 environment. And here we have an investment of less than 50,000, projected net savings of 20 to 30,000 per annum, payback estimated 20 to 27 months. Thereafter, the building enjoys and gleans the benefit of these sustainability efforts. So how does the QRW fit into the context of the CSXC? We note that more than 50% of the above properties have cooling towers, and the QRW is applicable and scalable. QRW specifically targets the largest contributors. For a typical commercial building, 40% of the water consumption, cooling towers. 40% of energy consumption, ACMV systems. So how far does CapitaLand want to go in achieving sustainability and low carbon footprint goals? For every building looking into these aspects, QRW presents a compelling, viable and workable alternative. And here we share Climatech's vision, empowering the environment. Why Climatech? Formed in 2011, we are a dedicated team of individuals with diverse backgrounds, each sharing a common goal to tackle climate change. Personally, I spent 12 years in investment banking and corporate oil and gas before embarking on this very different endeavor. Not easy, nor smooth sailing, challenging to say the least, but the focus and the will have never wavered. And QRW is one of several technologies in the Climatech portfolio. It is unique, leading edge, yet straightforward to implement. QRW is also established with proven track record serving mission-critical facilities such as oil and gas, semicon, and data centers of the largest telco in Singapore. And why now? Climatech's objective is to find workable and viable solutions to tackle climate change, transform it from a niche, good-to-have, non-essential solution to a norm, a must-have. And through this CSXC challenge, we are cognizant that CapitaLand shares the same core value drivers. Sustainability can be achieved efficiently and effectively. The timing is now, together. And so the saying goes, if CapitaLand has the will, Climatech has the way. A very big thank you to our esteemed panel, the organizers, and our mentors who have taken precious time off to guide us on this incredible initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heng. Your 7 minutes and your first question starts with a question from Ms. Goh Swee Chen.
Hi, Joe Heng. Thanks for that very interesting pitch for your solution. And I like what you say about the value proposition and the ability to apply the solution on one of the most precious resources, water, and also to existing sites. My question to you is, how do you intend to take this to market? Have you thought through what are the challenges that you would expect as you bring the solutions out to the market?
Well, as you can see from the presentation slides, the technology is actually 3 years in the running. We first installed in 2019. We've been taking a very careful, measured approach. We have 10 sites currently with our existing clients, strong relationships, the clients that trust us. So previously we were doing solid chemistry, and we converted all these sites to the QRW. So bringing it to market is the challenging part to us is, of course, the notion that, so much can only be done on the water treatment based on existing know-how. And very often, unfortunately or fortunately, we have been grouped with the electrolysis type water treatment. And when we breach this subject of chemical-free water treatment, the first question we get more than half the time is, do you have bacterial issues? Do you get Legionella? And we spend a lot of time educating and trying to present the case where we are actually very different. And so, yeah, bringing it to market, we spent 3 years carefully working out the system, test bedding it in our clients. They have, fortunately have allowed us to do this. And so far, we have 0 incidences of Legionella bacteria and very successful savings on the water blowdown and the associated energy savings from the chillers. But take note, these are site-specific, depending on the level of degradation of each site.
With 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go, Mr. Rohit Sipahimalani is next with a question.
Hi, Joe. Very impressive presentation and idea. I had just 2 questions. One is that you talk about the payback for your customers being around 2 years. I wanted to get a sense of what your economics would be in that context. And associated with that, what are the logistics of actually installing your solution? You talk about ceramics and magnets, etc., have to be installed. Is that a standardized process? How easy is it? How much customization does it require? And therefore, is it transportable, again, and scalable across, say, one locale like Singapore to other markets? How would you execute on that?
Thanks, Mr. Rohit. If you had looked at the very quick 7-minute slide, you see some pictures of a metal contraction. That is actually the QRW. We also have a hard time convincing our clients, this is actually the system. There are no fancy buttons, screens, etc. So it is a 2-inch module for larger towers and a 1-inch module for smaller ones. The works are non-invasive. We basically treat the makeup water line. So we don't interfere with the condenser line at all. So the question you asked on how easily it is adoptable, it is adoptable in every single site. What we find the challenge is the sites with huge makeup water pipes, 8-inch, etc. That we need to move to the branch pipes for feeding the cooling tower. And on the maintenance, of course, this has to be done by Climatech trained personnel. But the beauty of this system is it's non-mechanical, non-electrical, and only the ceramic is a consumable depending on the flow rate of the water and the size of the cooling tower itself. So in fact, it's actually very simple, very straightforward. A lot of planning and thinking has actually been done pre-conception. So it's very straightforward, simple solution. And the most important thing is that we have a good record that it actually works, it delivers as promised.
With about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left, the next question, possibly the last one, is going to be from Dr. Chris Lukuman.
Hello, Joe. Hey, sometimes things almost seem too good to be true. And then what you're describing is like a no-brainer. It's like, well, okay, if this is so straightforward, why wouldn't we put this everywhere? I have one simple question. Does the ambient temperature or the temperature through the medium have any impact on the efficiency and effectiveness?
No, it doesn't. Because actually the original idea was to treat the electrical heaters and the boilers especially. So we moved along and we discovered that actually the cooling tower is very similar because the essence of degradation is fouling, whether it's biological or inorganic. So yeah, it doesn't affect the ambient temperature does not play a part. And actually, we also have moved on to start implementing this into the chill water loop for the systems. And that we need to be cognizant because that being a chill loop, if the system works too well, too quickly, there may be a choke on the system. So we need to monitor the filtration, the built-in filtration to make sure that the flow is not inhibited. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
And there's no additive effect of adding 2. So you make micromolecules, but you can't add 2 or 3 and reduce fouling. It's a one-shot deal, right?
If you look at it in a layman's term, because I'm actually not a PhD, you're wearing spectacles. When you have dirt on your specs and sometimes you can't wipe it off, you bring it to the optical shop, they use the ultrasonic machine to vibrate the system. So what we have come up with is something that doesn't require the immense power to run the ultrasonic. and that is the beauty of the system.
And with that, you're out of time. Thank you very much, Mr. Heng from the Climatech Corp Private Limited, for sharing with us your water treatment technology that utilizes photon vibration frequency technology to treat cooling tower heaters without the use of chemicals or power, achieving water savings and energy savings. Our third finalist is InnoViews Inc. from the USA with a solution for CapitaLand's challenge statement: how might we achieve significant reduction in energy consumption for existing buildings? Mr. Anas Kalsas, the founder and CEO of InnoViews, will be presenting their submission, InnoViews Adaptive Glazing Shield, Revitalizing Windows for Better Building.
Good afternoon. I'm Anas Al-Kassas, founder and CEO of InnoViews. I'm excited to talk to you about the insulating glass retrofit technology that we've developed and how it transforms the facades and windows of existing buildings into energy efficient, smart, and sustainable systems without removing or replacing anything at all. As you probably know, buildings are the largest end user of energy in many countries, and windows are responsible for up to 40% of the energy loss in buildings. In the US, for example, upgrading the 7 billion square feet of inefficient windows in existing buildings can reduce energy consumption by about 700 trillion BTUs, providing $260 billion in savings annually, and lowering CO2 emissions by 1.7 gigatons, which is equal to Russia's greenhouse gas emissions. The problem is that replacing the windows is almost always not a feasible option for building owners due to the associated high costs, business disruption, and unrealistic payback periods. On the other hand, the low-cost retrofit options available on the market today are either temporary treatments or provide very limited benefits, or they're not suitable for commercial-grade applications. So what we did is we've developed a retrofit solution that offers the same benefits of full window replacement, but at a fraction of the cost and without disruption to the operations or occupants of the building. The result is up to 10 times faster payback periods, providing building owners up to 400% return on investment over the entire product lifespan. Now, we were able to significantly reduce the cost like that by inventing a system that, one, uses the existing windows as part of the solution instead of throwing them away, so requiring 70% fewer materials than a new window, and also eliminating the costs of demolition and disposal of the existing window systems. Two, it is prefabricated offsite for quick and easy installation, which cuts installation costs by up to 80%. And three, it's an overglazed system that does not require removing, replacing, drilling, or altering anything at all to be installed. So no disruption to building operations, which means no loss of rent or income. Here are some photos to show you how the retrofit is easy and non-invasive or non-disruptive. Once the product is installed, it creates a hermetically sealed desiccated air gap between the original glass and the new glass, which performs like a thermal cavity. Here's a comparison between before and after to show you the difference. In a few words, our insulating glass retrofits transform single or double glazed windows and glass curtain walls into high-performing double or triple glazed systems, providing up to 10 times higher performance. Here's a real-time comparison using a thermal camera where you can see a 10-degree difference in the surface temperature of the glass between the single pane window on the left and the retrofitted double pane window on the right. So for the first time, our insulating glass retrofit technology made it technically possible in a cost-effective way to transform a window pane in place from the exterior or interior of the building into a multi-pane insulating glass unit, which is a product typically made in a glass fabrication facility. Now, our product might look simple on the outside, but once you zoom in on a cross-section, you'll start to see the level of engineering that goes into the design of this novel system, where every one of these components and materials in this tiny space is playing a major role in one or more aspects of the window performance, which, by the way, have been validated independently by one of the leading testing facilities in the US per the ASTM and other industry standards for new window systems in high-rise buildings. Here are also some photos to show you the limited visual impact of the retrofit. Building owners can choose from unlimited glass options that can be used to preserve or enhance the building appearance as desired. And it's worth noting that our window retrofit system is glass agnostic. It offers a platform that provides the means needed to accelerate the adoption of advanced glass and smart window technologies in existing buildings. Here, for example, we use smart dynamic glass that changes its tint automatically throughout the day based on the temperature and the weather conditions to dynamically control the amount of solar heat gain through the windows, and in turn, save more on energy consumption and improve thermal comfort. Now, as a startup, we've made a lot of progress over the past few years, and we now have presence in 5 US cities and growing. Our early adopters include Fortune 500, large commercial real estate companies, and an alliance of over 140 energy utilities. InnoViews was recently featured by Bill Gates' Breakthrough Energy in their 2021 Climate Action Playbook. In 2019, InnoViews was selected by Cleantech Group as one of 50 to watch early stage companies globally. We've also won a number of startup competitions like Cleantech Open in 2018. And we were also selected by the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority out of 152 companies. Now, behind this effort is a team of architects, engineers, and business experts with decades of experience in the building and glazing industries. We're also supported by great strategic advisors from Saint-Gobain, Brookfield Properties, and CBRE, most of them invested in InnoViews. Now, due to our unique multidisciplinary technology, we were able to adopt a fabulous capital-efficient business model and outsource the capital-intensive parts of the business to different partners. This provided us with a fast track to start generating revenue early on. Right now, we're focusing on our primary revenue model, which is selling our product to large commercial real estate owners directly or through energy service companies. Now, window upgrades is considered a huge, largely untapped segment in the building efficiency retrofit market. In the US alone, the revenue potential from the commercial segment only is valued at over $270 billion. And the potential licensing market in China, for example, is worth over $2 billion. That said, we started offering our product to early adopters last year. And despite COVID, we were able to sell over 1,000 square feet of our product. This year, we're projecting to do about 15 times what we did last year. Right now, we have a pipeline of over 10 times our projections. Financially, we believe we'll reach break-even in 2022 and become profitable in 2023 due to our unique capital-efficient business model and an industry-leading margin. In terms of funding, we're currently raising $2 million to accelerate growth and market penetration. The round is led by one of our existing investors, Polis Holdings, with participation from Saint-Gobain, one of the world's largest building product companies, and other new and existing investors. To date, we've raised over $2.25 million in private funding and non-dilutive awards to bring our technology to market. And we're very excited about the opportunity of doing a pilot project with CapitaLand. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Casas. Your 7 minutes, and your first question comes to you from Mr. Rushad Nanavati.
Thank you. Really excited to see your focus on Windows, which, as you described at the start of your presentation, Anas, really are the sort of the Achilles heel of the built environment. And I'm going to cheat a bit by sort of mashing up maybe two questions. One, it seems like the key to the ultimate economics will be a mass customization approach, and I'd be curious to hear a little bit more about beyond just the offsite manufacturing, how you plan on, or the approach that you plan on taking. The second, it seems like with your solution, one of the critical issues will be resolving or dealing with the water and air sealing and intrusion issues associated with the window that you're putting this on top of. And so, are you addressing that in some way, and if so, how?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Rashad, for your questions. I'll start with the second one. So technically, we're creating a new weather barrier on top of the existing window. So anything from the rubber gaskets and seals are protected and preserved, and we're creating another layer of sealants on top of it. We've done a lot of testing on the air-water leakage, and our system improves that dramatically. We have third-party test reports to show. In terms of customization, so our system is standardized. The only thing that varies is really the size of the glass. And that typically is custom for any building, but in general, each building might have 1 or 2 or 3 typical sizes, and you'll have sometimes 1,000 windows of those typical sizes. So it's kind of a customized solution, but at the same time, it's very quick and easy to fabricate, and it has a standardized system underlying the technology.
Dr. Chris Lukeman is next, and you've got 5 minutes on the clock.
Thank you. First of all, I've got two questions. What material is this made out of?
So the majority is glass, and then there's aluminum, and then we have a number of primary and secondary glazing and sealants materials.
Okay, so sealant. So again, this is almost one that seems like a no-brainer. It's a huge market, too good to be true. We've got to do this everywhere to create more efficient facades. It's like, duh. So I do have a question. You know, Singapore and Asia is an extremely harsh environment from this heat and UV. I believe that most of the places you have this do not have the same UV load. What have you done to prove that it's going to be okay?
So we've done one of the very stringent tests. It's an accelerated weathering test, 4 months, 16 weeks, takes the unit from -40 to 140 degree Fahrenheit with UV applied to it. This is the same test that architectural glass fabricators have to do to get certification. Even though it's not required for us, we went through and did the same testing. And this testing applies basically all the kind of climate conditions all over the world. So anywhere in the world, okay. This is the standard ASTM E2188 testing.
You've done that, cool.
Yeah.
You've installed it like hundreds and hundreds of feet up in the air, that's no problem?
We haven't done a super high-rise building yet, but it's designed to be meeting the same standards for customized high-rise window systems and curtain wall systems.
Okay, thanks.
We've got about 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Dr. Cheong Koon Hien, next.
Well, thank you, Anas. Very, very interesting project. As a builder of many, many high-rise buildings, if this works, it's fantastic. But I'm glad the first two panelists asked you some of the questions which I also had queries about. I think the issue is insulation of high-rise buildings. And whilst you say you haven't tried it, even if you have tried it in the lower-rise buildings, the big question is, you said it was installed with no rivets, no screws, nothing. So it's almost like a clip-on with a gasket. So the question is really, how long will this last? I mean, it's okay, a typical aluminum frame with glass. How long will it last? That's the big question. If you have a high-rise building and any of these fall off, that's really dangerous. So I think that's the first question. So maybe let's hear from you.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. It's a very, very important point to us. So we've done a lot of testing on the high-rise building kind of performance. So first, the system is not only held by gaskets, so there is a special structural glazing material that is sort of like a structural glue or silicone. And it's used in all high-rise buildings. Any high-rise buildings you go through, you take a look at, and they have like a frameless look, they're using this material. And we're using the same, and then an additional layer of protection with the perimeter sealant as well. So we've done testings on up to 140 miles per hour. If you saw the slide, you'll see like a big airplane propeller 4 feet away from the panel. And this meets the building code in the US for 98% of the properties and locations. And it could be customized for even 170 miles per hour wind loads. So that's, I hope this answers your question. I would love to get your second one as well.
Well, we have time for the second one, Dr. Cheong, very quickly.
Yeah, I think we talked about the issue of the Singapore climate. How far you can seal is one thing. The other thing is it's almost a clip onto an existing facade. And we know that existing facades, actually every window may be of a different size, you know, because you said that the frame is fixed and it's only the glass that varies. So I'm just wondering about the technicalities. Because when you construct windows, not every window sometimes is of the standard size.
Yes, so our system is adaptable to that point, and if you look through the detail, you'll see that there is a tolerance gap around the perimeter of the window. This allows the system to adapt even if the current windows are not 100% square. So this leaves sort of like a 10 millimeter gap around the entire perimeter. The system is adjustable, so we take the size of the daylight opening, and then our engineering system kind of spits out the fabrication drawings and it matches the existing windows. So it doesn't need to be 100% like laser measured or anything like that. And we're attaching to the glass and not to the frame. So that's a major point also.
Okay, and that's our time up, Mr. Casas. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to Interviews, Inc. Thank you for sharing with us the insulating glass retrofit technology that reduces heat gain inside a building and thereby reducing the energy consumption used to heat or cool that building. Our fourth finalist is Taichu Kochai, a materials company from China with a solution for CapitaLand's challenge statement. How might we achieve significant reduction in energy consumption for existing buildings? The founder and CEO of Taichu, Ms. Huang Jingran, will be presenting their submission.
Hi guys, I'm Jingran Huang from Taichu Guotai Materials. Today I would like to discuss creating the future of green building. Many modern-day buildings using curtain walls to improve the building aesthetics and reduce construction costs. However, the typical aluminum curtain wall leaves out huge opportunities for energy saving due to its high thermal conductivity and thermal bridges. Do you know how much energy has been consumed on heating, cooling, and ventilation for a commercial building? It's 40 to 50%. So, I will propose stop using aluminum curtain wall. A new material technology called GRPU will be a game changer. GRPU is the abbreviation of glass fiber reinforced polyurethane. It is composed of 80% of glass fibers and 20% of polyurethane. Taichu holds multiple patents in utilizing GRPU for curtain walls. GRPU curtain wall consists of 3 parts. The first is triple glazing system that's used to get the natural light. And second is insulated opaque panels to block the solar heat gain. The most important part is the GRPU frame. GRPU frame has a super low thermal conductivity that can break the heat transmitting and make the building thermal bridge free. And there is no compromise by using GRPU curtain wall compared to typical curtain wall, because GRPU curtain wall keeps the same aesthetic slope that the people cannot even tell the difference by appearance. For every ton of aluminum alloy produced, a worldwide average of 11.7 tons carbon will be emitted. However, production of 1 ton of fiberglass shows a carbon footprint of 1.7 to 2.5 tons carbon dioxide. So, GRPU has 10 times less embodied carbon emission compared to aluminum alloy. GRPU is also famous for its superior physical properties. It has 2 times lower thermal conductivity that can improve the thermal performance by 25%. And it's 5 times stronger than aluminum alloy, which leads to a better wind load resistance. It also has a higher fire resistance. Here is a sample of GRPU. So, it can keep a good dimensional stability under a super high temperature. By adopting GRPU curtain wall, property developers can break even within 3 years. Let's take a 50,000 square meters new building as an example. Based in Beijing, the construction cost of a GRPU curtain wall may increase by $2 million. However, the energy cost saving is $20 per square meter per year. So in year 3, we're looking at to save $3 million energy cost, which can cover the initial investment. Then we break even. Then the property developers can enjoy the ongoing energy efficiency cost for the rest of the lifespan of the building. Due to the construction growth in developing market and strong emphasis in green and sustainable buildings, innovative and sustainable products such as Taichu's GRPU curtain wall have tremendous opportunities to capture market share. The market size of global curtain wall is over $50 billion in 2020. As GRPU can substitute all types of typical curtain walls, if we penetrate 10% of this addressable market, that means we can help them to save up to $380 million every single year. And this huge market is also attractive for investors because they can get the profit and sustainability at the same time. However, application of GRPU on curtain wall is not that easy. It requires high capital investment. Taichu is uniquely positioned to be the pioneer of GRPU because our parent company Minju has already invested heavily to secure the GRPU material supply. Minju is a large curtain wall manufacturer in China with annual revenue of $50 million and manufacturing facilities of 200,000 square meters. And we also got 10 million RMB investment from Chinese government. Our group has rich experience in curtain wall, including designing, manufacturing, and installation. So compared to any other GRPU product manufacturer, we are more advanced to the GRPU curtain wall. And we're ready for pilot and are honored to invite CapitaLand as our first partner. Taichu has a hand-picked team with experience, technical and business professionals to pursue these attractive opportunities in GRPU curtain wall. Currently, we have already done with the lab testing, and by leveraging Minju's technical know-how, we're confident to start manufacturing the first batch of GRPU curtain wall within 4 months. And then we're going to send our samples to do the test of air tightness, water tightness, and wind load resistance to get the authority approval. The beauty of our business plan is also the fact that by leveraging Minju's existing manufacturing facilities, we require significantly less capital investment compared to any other competitors entering this market. Well, the most important thing is we're focusing on creating a success pilot project, hopefully with CapitaLand. Our GRPU curtain wall is creating the future of green buildings, enabling a significant savings in energy. And we'll be so happy if CapitaLand could be a part of this sustainability initiative together. So let's start adopting GRPU curtain wall and looking forward to a more sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huang. And I believe joining her for the Q&A session will be Ms. Rachel Cho, data scientist from Taichu Guochai. Your first question, along with your 7 minutes, starts now with Dr. Chris Lupkeman.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I've got actually 2 parts to the question. The first question is, why has this not already been adopted by the industry in like a rapid way? Can I understand? So it sounds again it sounds like a very good proposition. And what is holding back the adaptation of this material in curtain walls in different parts of the world? And why is aluminum so popular compared to the glass fiber reinforced product?
Okay, so the glass fiber reinforced polyurethane is pretty much a new material compared to aluminum. Aluminum is the substitution of the steel, and the steel is the substitution of the wood. But today, the GRPU is going to be the substitution of the aluminum. So that's going to be the new generation. So,
I like that. Okay, that's a good answer. The second part of this is, so at the end of life, what do you do with it? Aluminum you can recycle, steel you can recycle. What do you do with these structural elements?
Wow, that's a really good question. Yeah, actually, as a responsible enterprise, we have to make a life circle of the whole thing. Yeah, so because this is so hard, we can just create crash it. Could make a lot of like powder something, and then we build it into the the panels to remake it panels used like a wall on the buildings. So because this composed of fiberglass, it has super low thermal conductivity. So when it is filled into the wall, the wall also has a super low thermal conductivity. Yeah. Hope that answers your question.
It does. You have a circular strategy.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
We've got about 4 minutes and 45 seconds, and Mr. Lee Chee Koon has a question.
Hi. Can I just seek a point of clarification? In the interactions with the Chinese authorities in your solution, what is the feedback that maybe the building authorities may have with regards to the materials that you are using, from fire safety, the strength of the material, maybe it's useful to share some of this feedback because it does affect, when you talk about bigger scale commercialization.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. So currently we have already got the investment from Chinese government and get a really the Chinese government has already put us as a famous list of our project. So they really interested in our materials, and as you said, the fire resistant. Yeah, it is fire resistant because there is no true melting point of the fiberglass and the polyurethane. It just getting softened. The fiberglass is getting softened up to 1020 degrees C, and the polyurethane is a thermosetting material, so it's just getting hotter when the temperature is super high when that was fire. So a carbon layer gonna be formed on the surface to prevent the fire getting to another side. Yeah, is that clear?
Okay, with about 2 minutes 45 seconds left, our next question is from Ms. Goh Swee Chen.
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept, and my question is really when do you expect the product that you have to be commercialized and to be ready for the market?
Okay, yeah. So we are currently going to build a 4-story buildings just right beside our office buildings as an exhibition. And we're gonna use the GRPU curtain wall on the first on the first floor, and the typical aluminum curtain wall on the second floor to monitor the data. And once we got the data, we can use this to do the advertising and let all the construction company or the real estate companies to know us. Then we can commercialize this project.
Okay, we're looking for a quick answer, a quick question and a quick answer with 1 minute 40 to go from Rohit.
There's a somewhat related question is that do you have any candidates or companies builders in China who are willing to sort of explore a pilot with you? And then secondly, related to that is the fact that this GRPU is, I understood from your presentation that there are others also doing it, but you're ahead of them, and I wanted to understand what was unique about your technology.
Okay, so our group has a real estate company, so we can build like a commercial in our land, and also the most unique challenge is that it requires the whole manufacturing line requires rich experience of workers, because it's kind of getting so hard if the workers do not familiar with this polymer, because sometimes it need different temperature. It's so like the number of fibers it changes a lot. So compared to any other manufacturer, we already have experienced workers to do the manufacturing.
Well, thank you very much. We're just about running out of time, so we'll have to thank Taichu Global Materials Company Limited for sharing with us their glass fiber reinforced polyurethane or GRPU curtain wall, which is around 10 times less embodied carbon than aluminum and high heat and wind resistance. Thank you very much indeed. Now, our fifth finalist in the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge today is Clean Robotics Inc. from the US. And with their solution for CapitaLand's challenge statement, how might we better segregate waste at source for recycling or treatment? Mr. Richard Fine, head of APAC Business Development of Clean Robotics, will be presenting their submission, TrashBot, Sorting Waste with Artificial Intelligence and Robotics.
Hi, I'm Richard Fine, head of APAC Business Development for Clean Robotics. Today I'm going to share with you a revolutionary solution that will forever change the way consumer waste is collected and sorted in the built environment.
Human beings get confused about what's recyclable. Right now, only about 20% of what goes into your recycling bin winds up actually being recycled. If you've ever gone to a place that has an array of waste receptacles, you've had the experience of trying to figure out where to put your item of waste. That confusion at the point of disposal causes contamination. We make a system called TrashBot that uses AI, computer vision, and robotics to detect waste as you throw it away. We take the decision that you have when you're throwing away an item into recycling or landfill, and we automate that. At Clean Robotics, we think that you really have to sort accurately as early as possible so that the industry can then recover as much value as possible.
Global waste generation continues to grow, with South Asia forecast to almost double the amount of waste in the next 30 years. In order to address this issue, improved waste management and resource recovery is required in every region across the globe. Reduced material contamination, coupled with consumer education, can significantly improve the recovery and recycling rates in every country. In Singapore, the total recycling rate across all materials is currently at 52%. And the government has set a target to increase the national recycling rate to 70% by 2030. CapitaLand is committed to achieve a 25% recycling rate in day-to-day operations. However, this comes with challenges. According to a 2018 study by the Singapore Environmental Council, 70% of respondents did not know fully which items were considered recyclable, and 40% of materials placed into recycling bins is contaminated and thus incinerated. At Clean Robotics, we have the technology to address all stakeholder needs and subsequently support government, consumers, and CapitaLand sustainability goals relating to the recycling and recovery of resources. TrashBot is a robotic waste bin that automatically identifies and sorts up to 4 customizable material categories. The unit is 3 times more accurate than human beings in identifying recyclables. TrashBot is a resource recovery station with smarts. TrashBot uses sensors, computer vision, and machine learning to detect and classify waste as it's thrown away. The average consumer is only 30% accurate when choosing between recycling and incineration. TrashBot has a sort accuracy of up to 90%. TrashBot provides numerous benefits for facilities managers, including real-time waste audits and the ability to make decisions based on accurate, granular data. It also improves efficiencies of cleaners as they only need to attend to the units when notified by SMS, and increases the recovery of recyclable material whilst reducing the volume of waste sent for incineration, directly impacting the cost of waste management. Using built-in cellular communications, all collected data is uploaded to the cloud and accessible to all relevant persons via a dashboard that displays all TrashBot locations and related resource and recovery data in real time. This allows facilities managers to analyze and report on waste and recycling targets and provides valuable feedback and insights to all stakeholders. The 43-inch monitor delivers relevant and location-based educational, promotional, or advertising content, updated by an intuitive online content management system. The example illustrated here is an educational message displayed on screen based on data at a specific site location that showed a high level of beverage containers were being disposed of while still containing liquid. Waste reduction is of a growing concern for building owners. One of the principal driving forces behind this is the realization that it is a commercial issue. The less waste that is created, the less you have to pay for its byproduct and waste removal. TrashBot delivers benefits relating to certified building sustainability programs, and the data can be used to measure, track, and communicate waste management and recycling targets. By effectively segregating recyclables from general waste, overall waste management costs can be reduced. Each TrashBot installation increases the recovery of recyclables and reduces the cost of disposable for non-recyclable waste. An example, with 3 TrashBots installed at CapitaLand's Raffles property, a total of 7.5 tons of recyclables could be diverted from incineration. At a scale of 40 units, assuming a 40% diversion, TrashBot technology can divert 100 tons of recyclables a year, abate 500 tons of carbon dioxide, and generate $19,000 of savings annually. This is before accounting for the added value of enhanced education, data analytics, and programmatic changes like potential new organics programs or refined purchasing strategies. Best of all, the data is accurately captured at the point of disposal every time. Clean Robotics, together with Elba and Biopack, will engage with the packaging industry, government, and the recycling industry in Singapore to provide transparent, real-time material recovery data, vital for effectively monitoring and managing the recovery of valuable resources that will ultimately help Singaporean businesses and communities achieve, if not exceed, the targeted 70% recycling rate by 2030. Our technology has been developed and refined over the past 5 years and is now ready for deployment. No other smart bin solution on the market today can compete with TrashBot's advanced data capture, data analytics, material sorting accuracy, and educational capabilities. We have patented IP and are about to close a fundraise which will provide the required financial resources to scale globally. We have a talented, passionate, and dedicated team to ensure the smooth delivery of our industry-leading technology to market. A partnership with CapitaLand will allow us to demonstrate the environmental, sustainability, and operational benefits TrashBot can bring to the organization, and as a first to market with TrashBot in Singapore, reinforce CapitaLand's position as a market leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fine. And joining him for the Q&A session will be Mr. Charles Yap, CEO and co-founder of Clean Robotics. Your 7 minutes starts with the first question from Dr. Cheong Koon Hian.
Thanks very much, Richard and team. It seems to me TrashBot overcomes many of the human problems of trying to recycle trash. Can you elaborate a little bit on how the robotics work with the AI engine? I suppose it must be some form of a image recognition. So the question really is, how does it recognize trash that is actually not in your database? And how would it sort, and how accurate is it? I think that's the first question. And how many types can you sort it into? Because right now, the proposal is 4 types. I suppose it's also related to the size of the bin. In Japan, they sort a lot more than beyond 4 types. So maybe I'll just stop there and let you answer that question first. Thank you.
Certainly. So it uses artificial intelligence and image recognition to identify the materials. And we obviously have developed a database over time. The more waste that is processed through the machine, the more accurate the machine becomes. And we can classify the waste streams pretty simply. It can classify currently up to 4 streams. We usually find that's enough because generally in most countries they sort up to the 4 streams: metals, plastics, paper, and then organics or landfill. So it can be customized and tailored to sort up to 4 individual streams.
Just a quick addition there. The artificial intelligence can detect 135 different categories of waste, but as far as the bin sorting in the robot itself, it's just 4.
We've got 5 minutes left on the clock. Mr. Rashad is next with a question.
Thanks. Yeah. One of the human challenges is with the sorting, but the other big human challenge, from my understanding of recycling, is contamination. It's one I think that you alluded to on a couple of your pages. And so I'm wondering whether you guys have thought in any way about how to handle that issue, not the sorting, but the contamination issue. And my other question was, what all the potential value streams are associated with the data that you're capturing, not just for this pure recycling solution, but perhaps further upstream, for policymakers or consumer goods companies, et cetera, and whether the extent to which you've thought through some of those value streams as well.
Great question. So regarding contamination, the units utilize artificial intelligence and image recognition to identify the waste. At the same time, it collects data. So if you find at a specific site, you're having a lot of contamination from one of the streams, you can use location-based advertising or messaging on the screen to inform the consumer to change their behavior. So, like the example before, it was in an airport, there was a lot of half-filled water bottles entering in that. That's why we displayed a message. Did you know water bottles should be emptied before being disposed of? That's how we deal with contamination issues. The second thing is the value add that you mentioned. We actually see trash robotic having far more value for extended producer responsibility programs in the future. So, for example, any take-back scheme, TrashBot could be utilized to actually capture the data of specific brands and account the amount of material that that brand is putting into the system, and therefore make it much more, I guess, efficient and effective across those types of applications.
It's about 3 minutes left on the clock. Time for one or two quick questions. Mr. Lee Chee Koon up next.
Hi, I like the idea a lot. Just a question in terms with regards to implementation. Because if you're going to put in AI and sorting capabilities at each of these different trash bins around the buildings and around the world, how do you, have you tested in terms of the durability, the maintenance? Because if you have a machine that's not durable, and you just do not have the sorting capabilities, and you end up actually creating a lot more problems than what you had originally envisaged. So, yeah.
Yep. Great question. The machines have been developed and refined over the past 5 years. So, and they're built in a very modular way. Anything that goes wrong, there are very few moving parts. Anything that does go wrong with the machine is simply plug and place. But there's very few moving parts, and it's quite a robust, reliable system.
Any other questions from the judges? We have 2 minutes
Yeah,
left.
can I ask a really quick question? Sorry, I couldn't put it. So let's just pretend I throw an ice cream cone in there. Right? Someone's got to clean it.
So, yeah, the surface of the unit is coated in a hydrophobic coating, so it's sort of, any liquids or contaminants tend to slide off that. But if it did throw an ice cream in, that ice cream would then be separated into an organics or a landfill stream. But the unit itself would require, a regular cleaning as the custodians or maintenance staff come around, or the people that empty the bins, they would just give it a quick wipe down with a cloth.
So it's literally quite as simple as a quick wipe down.
Very much so. Yep, as I say, hydrophobic coating, so it sort of repels any contaminants.
Okay. Thank you.
We've got about 60 seconds. Time for one last quick question and a quick answer. Anything from any judge?
Power consumption. The one thing that regular trash bins have going for them is they don't use any.
Correct. Very low power consumption. At the end of the day, it's driving the monitor, which is an optional. I guess you want that, but as much power as required in order to power the monitor. So very low power consumption.
Well, there you go. There's no time to answer the question if you'll accept bitcoins, but thank you very much indeed for that. Clean Robotics Inc., thank you for sharing with us TrashBot, a smart waste bin which uses artificial intelligence, robotics, and multiple sensors to sort waste to facilitate better recycling efforts. Sixth finalist is Arid Builders Private Limited from Singapore with a solution for CapitaLand's challenge statement. How might we improve indoor air quality, or IAQ, to enhance wellness of users in our existing buildings? Presenting the solution is Mr. James Paul Pilande, and he's the Managing Director of Arid Builders.
Hi, I'm James Paul Pilande of Arid Builders. Good afternoon, judges, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to present our solution to a very relevant but challenging problem we are facing now, the COVID-19 pandemic. Just recently, with overwhelming evidence, the World Health Organization has confirmed that the primary source of transmission of the SARS-CoV-2 virus is through aerosolized spray from infected individuals. Presently, at the Tan Tock Seng Hospital case, authorities are investigating airflow and ventilation as possible cause of this new cluster. As professionals in the built environment, we decided to develop the Luminaire, a device that can control the spread of the virus and make indoor air healthy and safe. Our technology is based on ultraviolet germicidal irradiation, which is safe to use even on occupied spaces. The device is an active fan to draw air to a series of filters, passed through an enclosed chamber, equipped with a high dose of UVC power, long enough to achieve the necessary exposure time of zero point 0.9 seconds to kill the virus. The disinfected air is then sent back to the room with a proven 99.9% effectivity. In line with CapitaLand's 2030 Sustainability Master Plan, our objective is to visualize, monitor, and control indoor air quality to ensure a healthy and safe environment for the building occupants. The solution should be affordable and effective, resulting to footfall going back to pre-COVID levels. Our vision, feel safe, stay safe, resonates with our value proposition. We make the air you breathe healthy and safe. The idea is to install an indoor air visual monitoring system in public spaces to provide peace of mind for its occupants, while the luminaire will work in the background to ensure that the air they breathe is safe. We are confident about the effectivity of our device, and to prove our point, we would like to propose a pilot test for asphalt serviced residents to demonstrate our solution. Together with masking and social distancing, we expect a 99% decrease in viral risk in indoor space covered by the luminaire. A healthy indoor environment is a good investment for the company, especially in times of COVID. If the pilot is successful, we hope CapitaLand will gradually roll out our solution across all of its properties in Singapore and overseas. As a testimony to our success, last February, we did the pilot test with LHN Group supported by Enterprise Singapore. We installed the luminaire at LHN-operated hostels and conducted our pre- and post-test focused on high-risk areas like the study, gym, and breakout lounge. The feedback was convincingly positive, and the result was a purchase of the device for permanent installations in the hostels, as well as their corporate headquarters and other greenhouse service office locations. In a nutshell, I would like to take this opportunity to talk about the potential growth of the business. The UV disinfection market from 2021 to 2026 will be worth about $5 billion with a higher compounded annual growth rate of 14%, driven by the high demand in UVC and far UV equipment to combat current and prevent future pandemics. The high percentage of growth is in the Asia-Pacific region due to the adoption of stricter indoor air quality standards because of COVID. How will we make our presence felt? Besides innovation, our approach to ensure that the luminaire will be in the forefront of healthy and safe indoor air globally is to adapt the counter-positioning model. We aim to challenge the status quo by adopting a leasing model where most are focused on selling. We are looking at it at an economic point of view. Are businesses really willing to make an upfront investment to how everyone perceives as a momentary event like the pandemic? Therefore, to make our products affordable, we develop a rental model that will fit in with the customer's perception and expectation. There will be drastic changes in the building code to strictly enforce tougher indoor air quality standards to prevent future airborne disease-causing pandemics from happening. Our team has already prepared for this eventuality by providing an option to purchase plan for continuity of service and to achieve business longevity. A well-known business influencer on Twitter once said, If a founder started a business at the middle of the pandemic, they are likely to succeed. Imagine the drive and determination we had in building a physical product at the height of our circuit breaker period. We will carry this grit and grind attitude to expand the business. We expect our company to grow by $50 million in revenue annually over the next 5 years, or roughly a 1% share of the global UV disinfection market, driven by our plan to scale far and fast across the ASEAN region in as little as 2 years and globally by 5. Besides Singapore, the Luminaire has started acquiring orders from overseas dealers in Dubai, Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, India, and the Philippines. We should not let COVID dictate how we live. Our team is proud to be a finalist in this competition, and rest assured that given the opportunity, we will make the air you breathe healthy and safe. Thank you.
Let's go.
Yolande. Our first question, and your 7 minutes also starts with Mr. Rohit Sipa Himalani.
Hi, James. Thank you for your presentation. As you said, this is very topical today. We are all concerned in this COVID environment about air quality. One issue, of course, is that there are no real measurement standards for indoor air quality, and what is good enough. And the question for you is, therefore, in terms of selling your products, are there guarantees you can give on indoor air quality? And if so, what would such a guarantee entail?
Yeah, basically that's why we came up with a solution. Instead of just selling the product, now we have the VMC solution, which stands for Visualize, Monitor, and Control. So basically, this monitor, is being installed outside of the, public spaces to empower people to see the air they breathe. So basically, we spend 90% of our time indoors, so we need urgent visible problems to act. We have to shine a light by making the invisible visible. So once we care enough to track the IAQ, we have some understanding of the problem, and then we can plan to stop it. So this is what the Luminaire does. Because most of the time, people will ask us, how sure are you that your device is working? So this is why we installed the indoor air quality monitor, for us to showcase that it's working. That's how we do it.
We've got 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Rushad is up next with a question.
It's along similar lines. When you flash that dashboard up, James, and the result was really impressive, right, with respect to the virus index. But what sort of assurance can you give that change was in fact driven by the Luminaire product and not by the major drop in humidity or PM 2.5 levels that you also saw alongside? I just want to make sure that we're kind of being rigorous about thinking about sort of causation versus correlation. I'm not a virologist, so that was the obvious question that came to me when you flashed that up on the screen.
Yeah, so basically what we do when we approach our customers or our clients is we present a pre and post test, like what we did in LHN. So basically we try to, as much as possible, cover everything. We will install an IAQ monitor first for them to monitor the current indoor air quality after we install the Luminaire. Anyway, the Luminaire also, besides having the UVGI, they also have filters like a HEPA filter, carbon filter, pre-filter, to at least, kill all the other pathogens besides virus and bacteria. Yeah.
We've got about 3.5 minutes. I think maybe time enough for 2 quick questions. The next question is from Chris.
Okay, very quick question. So you're putting filters in, which means that has maintenance implications. How often do you anticipate, You're going to need to flip out the filters.
The filters can be replaced in 3 to 4 months for the HEPA filter. And then for the carbon filter, it should be from 6 months to 1 year. Also,
stop. Do you have an indicator? Is that a smart filter so that you can tell the maintenance people when it needs to get flipped out, or is it just you just can go by and do it?
Currently, we don't really have it yet, but we are working on it. We are working
Okay.
on it.
Cool. Okay, that's good. So I like the emotional, the facts, and the impact. I think that's really good because many renters want to know that we're taking care of them. And this is a very important part, which I do like with that. How easy is this to integrate into existing systems? Because we don't need all of a sudden do all sorts of new systems, right? So we want to be able to integrate this. How easy do you anticipate it to be integratable?
Currently, the indoor air quality sensor that we are using is being used already in the US and in the EU. So basically, what we just need to do is we have to tap on them in order for our indoor air quality sensors to trigger our devices to act. So all of this is all cloud-based. So that is how we can integrate it together with
Are these then added in the stream into the ductworks, or these are added onto the walls?
It's a plug and play system. So basically, in order for us to connect it over to the indoor air quality sensor through Wi-Fi or through cloud, we have to put it over into a smart plug. So this smart plug will be the one that will enable all these devices to work harmoniously together with the indoor air quality sensor.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, we have 1 minute and 30. I'll throw it to one of the judges that are live in Singapore here. Any question for Philande?
Yep.
Could you use your microphone? Yeah.
Just a follow-up question. You talked about your leasing model being unique to sort of help people adopt this. But have you thought about the implications on your own business model, about the capital requirements, and why you think that this is something that you'd be able to sustain?
Basically, that's why we use the leasing model instead of the purchase model. It's because for purchase model, it will be outright capex. But if it will be on the leasing model, they have an opportunity to try the device, and it will go through the operating expenses. And then at the same time, they have an option to at least try and be convinced that our device is workable, and to prove its worth. Yeah.
But it significantly increases your own capex requirements, right? And I'm just wondering, have you thought about it in terms of the economics of your own business model, whether it can be sustained?
Yeah. Okay. Most of our like the screen is also we rent it and then we rent it out. Even the indoor air quality sensor, we rent it and then we rent it out. So the only capex that we have is our own luminaire. So basically, that's why we do that. It's because we have to adapt to a more counter-positioning model, and at the same time try to match the current economies now, which is more into subscription, into more is to rental rather than outright purchase. Because most of the companies are doing outright purchase, but for us, we are trying to do the rental model, so it will be for us. It would be more affordable. Currently, we are experiencing a good, response in our rental model. Yeah.
All right, that's all the time that we have for now. Thank you very much, Mr. Philande, and thank you indeed for for the sharing by Area Builders, the sharing of Luminaire, an indoor air disinfection solution that reduces virus survivability by over 99% within just a few seconds. Now, all 6 finalists have completed their presentations, and we wish them the best as our judges now begin the difficult task of deliberations. Coming up next is a plenary session, and our experts will be tackling the question, is sustainability the new gold in real estate investments? Secretly, I think the answer is yes. But first, we'll go for a short 3-minute break, and we'll be back with the rest of the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CapitaLand Sustainability Challenge, X Challenge. Now, you've heard the 6 finalists and their innovative solutions to push boundaries in sustainability, and just how meaningful are they for the real estate investments. Well, I am excited to hear the views from the speakers as they discuss this next topic. Is sustainability the new gold in real estate investments? To introduce her panel and to lead this next discussion, it's my pleasure now to introduce Ms. Lynette Leong, Chief Sustainability Officer, CapitaLand Group. Lynette, welcome.
Thank you, Joe. It's a pleasure to be moderating this session today. Before I introduce you to our esteemed guest speakers, I just want to tell you that the Q&A platform is now open, so please feel free to type in your questions anytime. And for those of you who have already sent in your questions, I'll try to cover them as much as possible. But due to time constraints, if I'm unable to do that, please accept my sincere apologies. So before I start the discussion, I thought I should set the stage and just share with you an overview of a few key trends. Firstly, as you know, sustainability has become at the top of the agenda of many countries and businesses. Earlier, you've heard from Minister Grace Fu that Singapore is pouring huge investments into developing the green economy. And the built environment is going to be a very important part of that whole economy. And in CapitaLand, sustainability is at the core of what we do. So in the area of investments, what we're seeing is also that sustainable investing is gaining momentum. Just as an example, in the US, every $1 of every $3 that is invested by professional managers is managed according to sustainable investing strategies. And in the property area, property funds and REITs have also been gaining momentum in incorporating ESG strategies into their portfolios. For those who are not familiar, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance factors, which is what sustainability is all about. And just to give you an idea of the magnitude of this growth, over the past 8 years in the US, the number of ESG property funds and REITs has climbed from 84 to 126. That's about a 50% growth. And the value of assets increased 3.5 times from $70 billion US dollars to $242 billion. Some people say that data is the new oil in the digital era. So is sustainability the new gold in real estate investments? I'm pleased to welcome my 2 guest speakers, Ben Powell and Steve Melowish, to explore this topic with me. But first, let me introduce you to Ben Powell. Now, Ben is the Chief Investment Strategist for APAC for the BlackRock Investment Institute based in Singapore. And he says it's very important to mention this, that he was originally from England, and he has spent the last 6 years in Singapore, where his 4 children were all born. And one of whom is, well, he said he's decided he will serve national service. So that's how important it is. Thank you for adding to our population in Singapore. Now, Ben also provides insights on the global economy, markets, geopolitics, and long-term asset allocation, all to help clients and portfolio managers navigate financial markets. Thank you for being here, Ben. And Steve Melowish is the founder of Property Guru. Now, if you have sold or bought a property in Singapore or in Southeast Asia mainly, yes, or even rented one, you might have used the Property Guru platform. Steve is also a tech entrepreneur with 28 years experience building businesses in Asia and Europe. He's passionate about sustainability and founded Planet Rise 3 years ago to invest in and help sustainability tech companies. In fact, Steve was one of our mentors who coached one of the finalists at today's challenge. So welcome, gentlemen. Now, in real estate investments, we usually think about risks and opportunities. And sustainability as a concept basically rose out of climate change risk. And so people tend to think of it as a risk and not so much opportunity. So I'd like to ask Ben the first question. Being the largest investor in the world with more than $9 trillion US in assets under management. So BlackRock certainly, your investment activities are very influential. So when you're thinking about a strategy, do you think of sustainability as risk or opportunity? And earlier on, the statistics in the US show that there is a lot of capital flow into ESG-focused funds in property. So do you see a similar trend in Asia Pacific?
Great, thanks. Well, firstly, thanks for having us. We're very honored to be here from BlackRock as a partner for CapitaLand at this fantastic event. So thank you so much for allowing us to be with you all today. To the question, is it a risk? For us, the risk is not doing something about it. So the risk is a world, it seems to us, that doesn't deal with the challenges of climate change and the related consequent negative economic impact that will have. So for us, the risk is the other way. The risk is not acting, and that's the risk that we think should be avoided. And therefore, it is absolutely potentially the big investment opportunity of the next years and maybe even decades, because, as I suspect we're going to come on to later, the scale of the challenge is very, very large. So for us at BlackRock, that doesn't mean we should avoid it or pretend that it isn't large and significant, but we should get started because the risks of not getting started are substantial. On the question of REITs in the US and the pickup in Asia, REITs, it seems to me, combine a couple of features. Firstly, the enthusiasm around sustainability that we're talking about here today, but secondly, also some yield in a world where yield is hard to find. So that combination, it seems, simply is very attractive and is driving demand from investors. We're seeing property funds respond and create more supply of these funds because there is a demand. I would say in Asia there is the beginnings of a similar trend, but we are much more nascent. We are much more towards the beginning of that journey. And again, to paint an optimistic picture, that means we've got a lot of this upside still to come, it seems to us at BlackRock, because we do think the realities of the sustainability challenge are real and the time urgency is pressing.
Thank you, Ben. It's an interesting insight, and that's coming from a very big investor. So if I were to turn to Steve, who started from very humble beginnings, but he has actually grown Property Guru into a kind of a tech unicorn, and Singapore is very proud of that. It's got, well, now 35 million users monthly across Asia, and I know you're doing a deal to hopefully have a spec with that. So
no comment.
All the best on that. So what do you think? And then also, I mean, having started this, and it'll be inspiring to the startups who are watching, actually, to have grown a tech unicorn. So a lot of people would just, retire early, and yet you started another VC, Planet Rise, to tackle climate change and social inequality issues. So tell us, what is the thinking behind it, and what is your investment philosophy?
Sure. Thanks very much for having me here, Lynette. And so for me, having spent 12 years, I guess, building Property Guru and hiring a CEO and then handing over in 2018, I could have quite easily have just retired and sat on an island, but probably would get very twitchy after a few minutes. I spent a bit of time with my family, but also started to think about what next. And for those who were really kind of tuned into things in 2018, in 2018 was quite a pivotal year where you saw a number of things happening. There was a growing escalation of records being broken, and not good records either. Record hurricanes, record wildfires, record temperatures growing. It was where you saw the first letter from Larry Fink from Blackstone, talking about the shift from purely financial to think a little bit around investing a little bit more sustainably. Greta was doing her thing as well. So you had kind of everything coming together, including climate scientists, which up until that point were really, the consensus wasn't there. And actually, the consensus was starting to come together as well. And as I kind of researched this, I actually got quite scared because I thought that all the things that that I'd taken for granted, as a child, even today, in terms of swimming in oceans, in terms of skiing or walking in a forest and seeing nature and that kind of thing, all the things I took for granted and take for granted today might not actually be there in many cases. And I felt that I would not be able to look my kids in the eye and say, look, I just partied the whole time and enjoyed myself, and too bad for you guys. And so for me, that became the thing that I needed to focus on, to try and create, do my little bit to try and create a better world for my kids and their kids' generation as well. So what do I know? I'm an entrepreneur, and what do entrepreneurs do? They kind of tackle big problems, and there was nothing bigger in my mind than climate change, and also social inequality. Because what we saw, particularly during COVID, was, and we're seeing, and we will see in climate change, is at the bottom of the pyramid, the minorities, the day workers, will be the first hit. And so I decided to focus on climate change as a primary focus. And then also social equality is a secondary focus, because those are the people that are going to be worst hit. And so Creative Planet Rise to invest and support companies that are trying to make the world a better place, focus on climate and social impact, using technology to do so and achieve that impact at scale. And to date, we've invested in 13 companies and supporting 13 companies who are doing exactly that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, speaking of climate change, my husband and I we went trekking in New Zealand just before COVID, and that was in the middle of summer, but there was still snow-capped mountains, and there was, flash floods everywhere. So yes, we really felt that. Now, Steve, you talked about technology being very important, and here this is a Sustainability X Challenge, and we have a lot of technopreneurs who are also viewing. So how important is technology in sustainability? And a lot of the targets a lot of the goals that countries have, or even businesses have set for themselves, is technology. How do you think we should be employing technology? That's one. Secondly is, as a startup, usually startups are burdened by short-term performance. And so how do you weigh short-term profitability against long-term gains?
Yeah, I think a conclusion I've come to, I guess, over the last 3 years is that there's no one silver bullet. It's going to require a whole bunch of stakeholders, including consumers, including companies, including investors, including large corporates and governments to put in place measures to try and mitigate the effects of climate change. And technology plays a role in that. And technology can play a role in doing so, achieving that kind of impact at scale. And so when I look at that, I think from I think how can technology play a role in really trying to shift the needle to try and make the world a better place from a planet point of view and also from a people point of view. And so initially I was very much just thinking, okay, how do we help sustainable companies, which maybe has some technology there at its heart, but not really thinking about the big scale. And now I think things about, can it really shift the needle? Can it mitigate 1 gigaton, or at least have the potential of mitigating 1 gigaton of greenhouse gases over the next 10 years, which is huge. Can it mitigate or help the livelihoods of at least 10 million people over the next decade? And so actually trying to put some numbers around it to really think about that. And so if you don't do that, then I guess you can't really think about the impact at scale. And your second question there was around
just balance, especially startups having to deal with short-term expenses.
Yeah, I guess where we are today, short-term financial pressures kind of rule the waves still. So whether you're a large company or a small company, you're still held to account around financial performance. For a startup, it might just be financially surviving the next 6 months. For a large company, it might be big shareholder pressures to grow by 10% or increase profitability. So that's still, let's be frank, that still exists. But I think as Ben mentioned earlier on, I think what we're seeing now is a fairly significant and seismic change, and actually quite fast change, which is changing the rules of the game. And so what we're seeing is, governments, making very large commitments around climate change and carbon neutrality. You see tax regimes in terms of carbon tax taking place, regulations in terms of disclosures. You're seeing investors moving money, we talked about it before, moving huge amounts of money away from less sustainable companies into more sustainable companies. Enterprises, particularly in this region, I think are kind of starting to lead the way in many respects from a sustainability point of view. But they are actively driving the agenda. Consumers are obviously playing a significant role in what products and services they buy. They're voting with their wallet. They're voting for governments who are, we saw that, what happened in the US. I think probably one part of that was around climate change. So consumers are really acting, and also not in terms of how they invest, but they're also employees. And I initially thought that maybe consumers don't play a role here, but actually I think they do. They play a significant role because they are across all of those stakeholders. And so I think we're seeing a fundamental change from short-term financial to long-term sustainability. And the companies that will survive in the future have no choice but today to start to think and start to act around sustainability, because if you want to attract talent, if you want to attract customers, you want to attract finance, you want to even do business in certain countries, you need to adopt sustainable practices. Otherwise, you'll die. And so, I encourage even startups just to start to think about, even just make a small pledge today. Even if you're a 10-person company, what are you going to do around making the world a better place? And obviously, if you're a larger company, then you have a bigger negative impact, but also can have a bigger positive impact by taking action today. The companies that will be around in the future and be thriving in the future are those that act today around sustainability.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Well, I think the one of the common acknowledgement is that sustainability could be an expensive exercise. And then recently, I'm very actually pleased that BlackRock and Temasek formed a decarbonization partners fund to the tune of $1 billion US. And your both partners are putting in committing $600 million. It's a gargantuan amount. So is sustainability an expensive exercise, and how are you planning to monetize it?
It is a lot of money, and we're very proud, of course, to be making this step, not least with such a fantastic partner as Temasek. So we're very proud to be doing something positive. But actually, I would repeat something that Steve was saying, which is it's incumbent on all of us. This is all of our problem, and again, as Steve was, I thought, rightly saying, as a father of 4 children, it's more than just our problem, it's the problem of our children and their children. So I think all of us need to be doing what we can, and that can be as simple as a bit more recycling, all the way through to $1 billion commitment, and then crucially, of course, the regulatory government framework. So this is a problem which unfortunately impacts everyone, and therefore everyone, society, is going to have to make steps working together, and different countries will take different steps at different times. But broadly, if we can all move forward in terms of whether that's financial market regulation or, as I say, just what we do at home in terms of something as simple as recycling, then that's what we can do. None of us are going to solve this individually, and we shouldn't feel that pressure, right? We're not going to solve this individually. But if we work at it as a team of as close to 7.8 billion people as we can, then that gives us a better chance, it seems to me.
Well, actually, it's a very practical solution that we can adopt on a day-to-day basis. But then from the business front, there's always the question about return on investment. So is that the correct metric to measure sustainability? Maybe we could hear from Steve and then Ben.
Well, I think sustainability and climate change, let's face it, climate change or social inequality, they're huge problems, and they're just going to take a long time to solve. And therefore, financial return on investment is still important because to get that change is going to require massive investment, trillions of dollars of investment, and transformation and transition from where we are today to the future. So there are huge opportunities purely from a financial point of view. But clearly, if you're going to be on the journey for a long period of time, you need to be financially sustainable as well. So all of the companies that I look at are built to impact people, planet, but also profit as well. And so I think that the ROI, financial ROI, still holds. At the same time, the way, at least I look at it, will be around how is it impacting planet, how is it impacting people as well. So I'm looking at the gigatons, I'm also looking at millions of people's livelihoods which are going to be improved. One of the companies I work with is a company called Impact Investment Exchange, IIX, and they have adopted a social return on investment, SROI framework, which also then says, okay, so if we're going to invest $1 million into this project, a sustainable project, what's the financial return, but also what's the extra value around people and planet. And so for every dollar you may get $3 SROI, which is then, it's impacting health, it's impacting livelihoods in the community, it's improving health or impacting climate change as well. So SROI can also play a role as well, but ultimately it still needs to be a profitable business.
Yeah, that's interesting. What about Ben? What do you think?
Yeah, so look, for us, climate risk and sustainability risk more broadly, it just is investment risk. So we don't look at it as sort of investment risk and then somehow very separately sustainability risk. If sea levels rise, unfortunately, that will negatively impact some of your investments. So we're trying to, I guess, shift the paradigm, and we're a large player, but we're only one player, so of course we are hoping others come with us. But we're really trying to make the point that these are not different things, and that climate risk, sustainability risk more broadly, inherently is investment risk. And of course, we're all bored of talking about the virus, but the virus has been quite a good example of something which, frankly, most financial market participants wouldn't have been thinking about over the last 10, 20 years, but clearly that has impacted the value of every investment probably all over the world, regardless of asset class. So the reason I mention that is that's, unfortunately, that's a powerful example of where things which are believed to be outside of the valuation of financial assets, it turns out they're not. It turns out they're very relevant, and we think ESG risk is absolutely a part of how we would assess the value of any company or security that we were investing in.
So over at CapitaLand, we are also trying to quantify some of the risk and opportunities, and with a metric that we are developing, still in work in progress, called return on sustainability. So besides just the financial aspects, we also want to look at other metrics of quantifying the risk and opportunity. So yeah, we could speak more about it later on.
Sounds very exciting. So how do you plan to use that, though?
How do we plan to use that? Well, I think besides just financial return, I mean, we are already able to quantify certain things. For example, utilities, cost avoidance. That translates to a certain financial figure. Interest rate reduction. Yeah, so the more of such variables we can gather, then we can kind of prove that sustainability actually gives you rewards. And hopefully we can influence the valuers to also impute that into the valuation methodology, and in turn translate to better valuation for sustainable buildings.
Right.
Yeah, so, still work in progress, but it's actually something which we are very interested to expound on, yeah.
But it's all a work in progress, isn't it? I mean, this is such an important point. I think, sadly, we're not going to have a day in 10 years' time where we've solved everything. I don't think so, unfortunately. So this, I think, concern people have that we don't know all the answers That's true. We don't, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try and progress the conversation and the investment environment and the regulatory environment. And I have to say, I've been positively surprised as to how enthusiastic the world has become in the last couple of years, it seems to me. So even this week, the G7 meeting in the UK, they're talking, of course they are, they're talking about this, and it's kind of obvious that they would be talking about this, right? It's now an absolutely mainstream news item, discussion at financial fora like this, and critically at the political and regulatory level, we would be shocked if they weren't talking about it, it seems to me. And that's, again, it seems to me a big change, maybe even on where we were even 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. There's all these conversations that are important, yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Ben's saying. I think, there seems to be a view that actually it's going to be like a revolution and go from, where we were to where we are now, where we want to be in the future overnight. But these are really, really big challenges. It's going to take time, and it's just going to be like an evolution over the next, 1 or 2 decades, hopefully faster, with all of us pulling in the same direction. And it kind of reminds me a little bit like the whole digitization boom 20 years ago, and everyone hired their chief digital officer, and that person sat in the corner of the room with no power. I'm sure it's not the same with Chief Sustainability Officer Lynette, but and then 20 years later, it kind of gets embedded into the organization in terms of digitization. And I think we've just started that journey now. In the last 2 or 3 years, we've already started to see some momentum. And I guess it's our job, all of us, to maintain that momentum.
Actually, there's a related question from the audience, and that's quite interesting. So how do you think industry can drive the incentivization of good behavior or ESG performance among real estate companies, given that we should be embedding into our DNA?
Well, I think, so incentivization, I guess, there's 2 ways of incentivizing, right? There's the carrot, and then there's the stick. In terms of carrot, all of the things I mentioned before around, if you really want to get lower cost of capital, you want to get investment, you want to get customers, you want to stay a part of the supply chain, you want to retain the best talent, then that's the carrot to really, really kind of embrace sustainability. But then the stick is, at the same time, you see activist shareholders really hammering certain companies which are burying their head in the sand and hoping the problem will go away. And you've seen quite a lot of that in the oil and petroleum industry recently, but I think we'll see it also in the built environment, which is a huge contributor as well. And then you also see, regulators, saying, if you don't take ESG seriously, then there will be consequences, because it's your fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you are assessing things like, climate risk on, if you're $1 billion assets of real estate under management, and there's massive climate risk from floods or hurricanes or extreme weather for that, then it's a huge risk. And if you're not thinking about that at a board level, then there will be consequences. And so I think there's a carrot and a stick.
So there's another interesting question from the audience, and it's kind of related. It says that there is a sudden surge of interest in sustainability. Do you see the potential risk of greenwashing? Are people getting confused by the term net zero? Who wants to take that?
I'll jump in, and I would stress, it seems to me the most important step we need to make over the next year or two is a linguistic one. We need to decide the words that we're going to use, and from an investing perspective, how we're going to account for all of these different aspects. Because if we can have an agreed language, and slightly more boringly but important, an agreed accounting methodology, then for my company, the world's largest asset manager, that will make our job a lot easier, of course, in terms of investing into better companies who are adjusting to this new normal. So I think for me, there is confusion. Again, I don't think that's surprising. This is a new situation for many companies. So I don't mind the confusion. And as I say, it doesn't surprise me. But to resolve it, we need to swiftly agree some language and some accounting methodology so that we can then have the transparency, so we can then have a much clearer conversation, whether that's for experts or non-experts, to understand what we're discussing here.
Yeah, I agree with Ben. I mean, we're in the early stages of this evolution, and we really need to get the taxonomy and a common language for this in place. Otherwise, we risk really losing people, and a lot of skepticism that will creep in. Already you're seeing the fastest growing employee titles got sustainability or ESG in the titles. Governments, investors, all jumping on the bandwagon. So we are seeing greenwashing clearly already. ESG funds, got a whole bunch of fossil fuel companies which are paying a little bit of lip service. You're seeing some of that today. But I'm optimistic that I'm not surprised it's happening, and I'm optimistic in the future that we'll drill holes in some of these and remove them.
Well, actually, I would love to ask this question very quickly. Just one word to describe what sustainability should be in the future. This question says that you want to thrive rather than survive. So do you think there's a better word than sustain? Quick word.
For me, it would be around blossom.
Blossom.
Because it has a nature connotation.
Blossom, all right. Chief Blossoming Officer.
Why not?
For us, it would be flourishing, I think. This idea that we can realize our potential, because that's what we're all trying to do, I think.
I love that. Chief Blossoming, Flourishing, and Triumphal Officer. So with that, thank you very much for taking the time to view this. And thank you to our wonderful speakers, Ben Powell and Steve Mellowish.
Thank you.
Over to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Lynette, Ben, and Steve. Flourishing and blossoming. Two great words I hope we take into the future for our kids. We are now coming to the crucial part of the competition. We're going to give you the results very shortly. But in the meantime, just before we get to that, we had a whole bunch of industry experts and CapitaLand folks as well spend hundreds of man-hours evaluating some 270 plus submissions from, to bring them down to just 6 finalists. Now, the great news is that from this big research that they did as well, there were a few solutions that could be trialed in CapitaLand's portfolio globally, and we've compiled them into a video. So let's have a quick look at some of these would-be runners-up.
BrightTap from Israel. This sensor can be attached to any standard water tap, pipe, or hose to give you real-time usage and quality statistics. It is self-powered by the water that passes through it. Innovia from India. Dust and other debris can reduce the performance of solar PV panels by up to 50%. Innovia's patented solution coats solar panels with a slippery layer and then cleans it by blowing compressed air across the panels. Continuum from Japan. The Continuum filter is suitable for all types of air conditioning units. The filter emits infrared rays to improve the unit's heat exchange ratio, thereby reducing the load on the compressor and the overall energy consumption. AeroSeal from USA. AeroSeal is a solution that seals air duct leakages using an airborne sealant that is injected into the HVAC duct. The treatment process is fast, non-labor intensive with real-time data and reports on sealing performance. These are just some of the solutions that we at CapitaLand are really excited to be piloting in the months to come.
Tonight, the winners of the inaugural CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge will receive trophies that have been specially crafted from a translucent and low-carbon footprint concrete. These unique trophies are inspired by the galaxy of countless stars in the universe and signify the limitless possibilities for innovation in sustainability. Truly befitting the objectives of the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge. We would like to thank our concrete innovation partner, Pan United, for sponsoring these unique trophies, as well as the commemorative thank you gifts that we're giving out to our judges as well. Now, we're almost there at the moment that we've all been waiting for. In the meantime, though, I'd like to invite Ms. Goh Swee Chen, the Independent Director of CapitaLand and Chairman of CapitaLand Sustainability Council, to share the judges' views on the finalists and why the two finalists that eventually won stood out.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. And first, I want to congratulate CapitaLand for really getting this innovation challenge to a great start. And it is challenges like this, sustainability and innovation challenges like this, that truly demonstrate that you can actually bring together innovations and to demonstrate viable solutions that would allow us to sustain both growth and also a climate resilience economy at the same time. Today's competition is judged by a panel of judges, and these are truly awesome judges that comes with deep expertise in areas such as sustainability, in technical aspects, as well as running business corporations. So we are in good company when we look at what the eventual winners are. There are actually, out of the 6 shortlisted pitches that we heard today, it came from a group of, as Joe said, 270 entries from more than 25 countries around the world. And I must say, the 6 shortlisted countries, based on the discussion that we've just had in the other room, has made, actually, they have shown very viable solutions, and it has made the competition quite intense. So I must say it wasn't an easy job for the judges, but we have come up with 2 winners, one in the category of high impact and the other in the category of most innovative. In the most innovative, we look for interesting ideas. We look for ideas that probably have not been applied across before. And for the high impact one, we're looking for ideas that will help actually in both categories, that will help CapitaLand achieve its sustainability goals. So some interesting solutions, all worth pursuing, and I want to congratulate the people who have just presented for the ideas and encourage you to keep on thinking through and keep on looking for opportunities to apply your ideas. With that, let me turn over to Joe to announce the winners.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Goh, and may I invite now Mr. Lee Chee Koon, the Group CEO of CapitaLand, to present the trophies to the winners. Now, this is all very exciting stuff because I have the results in my hand. This is, first of all, the most innovative award that we are going to announce the winner of. This is the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge, and in very interesting handwriting. Climatech Corp Private Limited, congratulations for their Climatech Quantum Resonance Water Revolution in cooling tower water treatment. Now I'm going to invite the winners to say a few words as well.
You're on mute.
I'm afraid you're on mute. Just so you know, no virtual event is complete without at least 3 of these happening, so we're due for one more.
My apologies. Yep, this comes as a very pleasant surprise, notwithstanding the depth of innovation and the strength of the offerings presented in this competition. So we are very humbled in receiving this award, and also heartened to be given this great opportunity. So we'd like to thank our guests of honor, our panel of judges, the CapitaLand Organizing Committee, and of course our mentors. And lastly, my grateful appreciation to the Climatech team for the efforts, support, and perseverance. Thank you again.
Congratulations. I'm sorry if I missed a moment there for a little photograph with everybody together. So I'll make sure that we managed to get that photograph as well of our winner, as well as our guests before we move on to our next result. Now, for the next award, the winner of the High Impact Award. And the High Impact Award goes to Innoviews, Inc. For their adaptive glazing shield, revolutionizing windows for better building. We're going to take a moment now for a photograph, a virtual photograph, of course. And I'd also invite now our winner to say a few words.
Thank you so much. It's a great honor for Innoviews to be selected as the High Impact Award winner in the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge out of more than 270 entries from across the globe. I'd like to thank the judges, the mentors, and everyone at the CapitaLand CSXC team for their support. And I really look forward to implementing our insulating glass retrofit technology at CapitaLand properties around the world so we can help our cities achieve their energy efficiency and emissions reduction targets faster. I deeply believe that initiatives like this challenge are necessary to allow new technologies to reach a high level of market adoption and in turn promote a faster transformation into a sustainable future. So thank you, CapitaLand, and thank you, Singapore, for your leadership in innovation and sustainability.
Well, congratulations once again to the winners of the inaugural CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our program, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the judges for being here and sharing your knowledge and experience. To our online judges who are in Zurich and in the US, thank you very much for joining us online today. Now, this event would only have been possible with the support of our partners, some 56 organizations across the world who have been part of this amazing journey. So on behalf of CapitaLand, a very big thank you to all of you, to our lead partner, Temasek, to our strategic partners, and to our selection panel partners and outreach partners. Last but not least, I want to thank you, the audience who are joining us right now, being part of this event. We hope you've enjoyed it, but more importantly, we hope you've been inspired by the various presentations and also inspired by the fact that this thing is happening, the fact that all these ideas are moving forward towards a better tomorrow for our kids. We also hope that you will share with us your feedback as you leave us today in a short survey on the way out. I think you'll agree that this is a huge feat putting together something like this, but if it has helped in any way and it takes us to that better future we're all trying to work forward to, I think you'll agree that it has been worth it. Stay safe, stay well, and my name is Joe Augustin on behalf of CapitaLand and the Challenge. Thank you very much for being with us. Good night.